Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. I am so glad you are joining me again today. It seems like leadership is a really popular topic looking at the podcast stats. And so we are going to dive into leadership again. I just finished recording a podcast on someone else's platform, being interviewed and sharing my real raw story with them again. And so I'm taking full advantage of washed hair and a little bit of makeup on. So I am recording this podcast earlier than I usually do so I can make good use of getting ready. And I hope you enjoy today's episode. Today's episode is all about the inner operating system of a leader, quote unquote, bend your reality. And by the end of this episode, you will understand what your inner OS is, how it is secretly running your leadership, your business, your life, your parenting, and how to begin updating it in real time using my current season as a live case study. So buckle your seatbelts, let's jump in. When you typically hear about people talk about leadership, you hear them talk about strategy, launches, funnels, content, calendars, meetings, lots of meetings. And leadership is so much more than that. Those things I just mentioned are really operational practices. It's not leadership. How you lead those metrics can be a part of leadership. And one of the things that makes a really amazing leader is their inner operating system, their IOS. And the truth is, you don't lead your business from your strategy. You lead it from your inner operating system. You don't lead your parenting. You don't lead your life from strategy. You lead it from what is happening inside you. And so many are running on unconscious scripts. It's what Carl Jung says. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate. And so the whole methodology around a lot of coaching and around the practices and methods and experiences that I use on myself and with my clients is really this inner operating system, making the unconscious conscious. What are those beliefs? What are those traumas that have not been metabolized, witnessed, seen, heard, and they're still showing up either in your business, in your conversations with people? You're either reacting or responding, maybe in your parenting, maybe with your coworkers, maybe with your executive team, and ultimately with yourself. And your operating system, your OS, is the mix of your beliefs, your patterns, your nervous system, and your habits. So just think about those four things: beliefs, patterns, your nervous system, and your habits. There's a lot in there to rewire that operating system. And it's all the stuff under the surface that for decades, in a split second, whether you send the message, raise your prices, set the boundary, or disappear for 3 weeks and call it alignment. And it could really be your inner operating system is just on a very misaligned, outdated script. It is running from either a younger part of yourself. It is running on a belief that is no longer aligned. And all that stuff under the surface is what we bring up, and we rewire it through very science-based backed methods. And that is how you bend your reality. And so I help leaders and humans grow either their business or their life or their parenting, or if they are a single mom going through custody court, nightmares, dealing with abusive exes, fathers particularly, we grow them. And what I always, and if you're listening to this as a business person, like I always say, like, you can't grow your business until you grow yourself. Like for most businesses, your business grows when you are invested in yourself and when you are willing to look at what is underneath the surface that is really running your life that you are not yet aware of. And when you bring consciousness to that, that is how you grow and up level your life. And that's how you rewire and reshape and realign what you want in your business and your personal professional life. So you can grow your business by growing yourself through your capacity, identity, and nervous system, all through mind, body, spirit, soul work. And that turns into real world execution. And so this is how you bend your reality, because when you shift that internal operating system from survival to abundance to gratefulness to fullness, that is the external results following fast. And, you know, as I am always very honest in my content, whether it's the podcast or Instagram, I am certainly not recording this from some perfectly regulated mountaintop. Recently, even as of this recording, my own inner OS has been really lit up this week. There are things that are happening that I do not understand. There's old beliefs that have kind of resurfaced. There is some heartbreak dynamics, and I think most people think of heartbreak as just in the romantic sense. Heartbreak can be a variety of things. It's not always, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife separating in the, romantic context. Heartbreak falls under the many different categories. And so that's kind of the category I am in. There's still family court stuff happening. There is money pressure. There, like I said a few minutes ago, there's old patterns of I did something wrong. What is going on? What is wrong? I must be unlovable. And those have been really lit up. And so being a self-leader of really leading myself through these moments of where my inner operating system is asking for compassion. It's asking for care, curiosity. It's internal family systems work, if you're familiar with the 8 C's in that methodology. And really okay, how do we rewire this? This is still coming up, and it may always come up. Whatever you're dealing with or, struggling with, it becomes less about pushing it aside and it's, once healed, it's always going to be healed. Some things may have such a deep groove that the groove becomes more shallow over time, and it's more about navigating that groove. When you find yourself back in that rut, how do you get yourself back on the smooth road? And so I think a lot of times in personal growth work, people become very frustrated. And I know I have too, of gosh, this issue is coming up again. I've already dealt with this. And that's just oh, okay. I see you. I hear you to that, that inner younger aspect of yourself. Oh, I still have that I still have that misaligned belief. I'm still thinking that. Okay, good to know. How do I navigate out of this? I have all of these tools I can utilize and use to keep moving my life forward. And if I fall into the rut, I don't have to stay there. I can make a conscious choice of oh, pause. That's shame talking. Here's the truth. And that's how you pull yourself out of the rut very quickly, and you just simply navigate it. It's, picture someone on a raging sea. They know the target, that they're going to the port of call in, let's say, Miami. And there's a storm out in the ocean. And they are simply navigating those waves. And the same is with life. Your port of call is, maybe it's a financial goal. Maybe it's raising happy, healthy, healed children. Perhaps it's not becoming triggered, multiple times a day. And when you do, you simply navigate of oh, this is showing up Great. I have the tools. I need to regulate myself first, come back into my body, do, the practices 1, 2, 3. And that is how you navigate the seas of life. Life is not this Disney fairy tale where you heal it once. For some things, some things that are not as big in your life probably can be healed, and it's a one and done deal. For really deep trauma based patterns of maybe it's shame or abandonment or anxious attachment or avoidant detachment or disorganized, like all of these different labels, you may always struggle with them to some degree for the rest of your life. And it's coming into peace with that. That's the key. And it's simply about navigating it. And how one of the reasons how you can navigate it is you notice it. Oh, there's a storm brewing. Oh, great. I see this pattern coming in. I'm triggered. Okay. I know how to handle this. I can reach out to a friend saying, hey, I'm really struggling. I just wanted to, text you. I'm having a rough time. Come back into my body. I'll give you a practical advice right here. Practical tool. Very simple. You can put both feet on the floor and really press your feet into the floor and feel each toe. Another, you could do push-ups against the wall. And I say push-ups, it's really not push-ups. It's just like your hands are on the wall and you just physically like push it away. If you feel that life is really overwhelming, push the wall back of like, no, I got the wall. You're not going to push me over. Breathing, put your hands on your body, on your chest. That is super calming for the nervous system. So before you rewire, you have to come back into your body or else you're just bypassing everything and the rewiring won't be effective. And so really coming back into the body, it's all about the somatic works. Like, where do you feel it? Like, I always feel it like in my stomach, very heavy, dense, just like this heavy weight is there. So really putting my hands on that, speaking to that part, like, you're safe. I got you. You're in my care. Everything's okay. Doing the exercise I gave you last week of the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That is also super helpful. Really breathe in sharply through your nose twice, and then breathe out slow for a count of at least 6 or 8. Do that for like 5 rounds, 10 if you can. That is very calming to the nervous system. Then you can begin to rewire. And what is actually alive in my world as a very real world case study is, what is my inner operating system doing this week? How am I leading myself through this? And how can you begin to identify and update your operating system so you can lead yourself even when your system is screaming at you to shut down, chase, freeze, fawn? And this is the real work of self-leadership. This is the real work of leadership, because you have to lead yourself in order to lead anyone else, in order to raise your children, in order to lead a team, an empire, a business, your community, your community tribe. And so let's dive into it. So this week, as I've already kind of said a little bit ago, is, my inner operating system has been handling a lot of heavy emotional things. There is someone who was deeply important to me, and our relationship has kind of pivoted, and it's been unsettling. It's been upsetting. And so I have had these feelings of being discarded and very confused. Like, one of the beliefs that I really work on is, what did I do? And I really have been working the last couple of years on shame. And that's all about, so that particular one is like, what did I do? That's a shame feeling. And so disentangling that, again, coming back into my body and then rewiring of like, oh, that's shame talking. The truth is, I'm a really loving person who loves very deeply, and I care a lot about people. And that is how you begin to slowly rewire and navigate that groove. And for me, that groove is very deep and it's slowly dissipating. And I have to realize that groove may always be deeper than what I would like it to be. I have also been dealing continually with legal and family court. I am entering year 8 of continuous court. I still cannot believe it. And that is being asked to go to war. I've shared this on, previous podcast episodes. I'm being asked to go to war every single day. And so that is very taxing on my nervous system, on my operating system. And I have different boundaries set in place. And I'm really thankful that I have people in my life that I can delegate different things to. I can be really honest and real with them of like, my system is really struggling today. Can you take this on? This is coming. I'm going to be sending you this email. I'm not going to be reading this document. You can just give me the highlights of what I need. I'm not going to injure myself emotionally any more than I have to. And that is a really good sign of boundaries. I'm not going to read this email right before I go to bed because then I'm not going to sleep. I'm not even going to start my day reading that email because that's going to set the tone for the day. I'm going to do these other practices, weightlifting, Pilates, moving my body, neurofeedback, journaling. I've also been feeling the pressure around money and business and even asking like, what is causing this not to move faster? And so here are some very real, raw patterns with you that I would like to share. So the patterns that are getting triggered for me, and maybe you can find these in your own personal life. I did something wrong. I'm too much. And this is particularly really difficult for me. I'm either too much or I'm not enough. I know it's both sides of the coin. Again, shame is something that I really struggle with, and I work on it every single day. If I was more successful, more together, they wouldn't leave. Maybe I'm just not meant for the level of impact that I envision and that I know I've been called forward in my life. So those are some of the patterns that have kind of, come up this week. And, they're old patterns. They don't all have that same terminology, but the same theme. And so I'm wondering what patterns are showing up in your life when, things come up. What is your go-to groove that you are back in the rut again? And how are you going to lead yourself out of the groove and on to the smooth road? So I also want to say that there is a tremendous amount of hope, because it's Hope Rose after all, in that I am doing so much more aligned in noticing what is going on. And I've actually been using ChatGPT a lot, and I'm pause here, put a pin mark on what I was going to say in a second. I'm coming out with a resource for you. There will also be like a workshop as well on how to use ChatGPT as your personal growth coach, what questions to ask it, because it's been profoundly insightful in kind of unraveling of like, oh, that is a pattern, not a prophecy. Good to know. And it's really beneficial. So keep an eye out for that. If you want early access to it, send me a message or leave a comment in the whatever platform you are listening to. Maybe this is a good point to leave this partnership. As always, this is partnered and presented by Heal Thy, my latest startup. It's about making personal growth a tangible product and making healing, health, and hope available to the masses. And so if you are watching on YouTube, it is a deck of cards. It's called Foundations. And every 30 days, you get a new theme for that month. And there's a little stand where you can put the card on your desk. And I would love for you to support this latest startup. You can go to the show notes to purchase your Heal Thy subscription right now. If you're listening to this before December 8th, I am also having a 12 days of presence challenge. You'll get to open a new present every day, and it's really about bringing peace into your life during the holidays and not getting caught up in all the riffraff and stress that the holidays typically bring for people. So, back to old behavior versus current behavior. So, what I have noticed in my healing journey, growth journey is maybe a more appropriate word for this, is my old operating system might have done some of these things. Chased, over explained, wanted to work it out. Like, what did I do wrong? If I do something different, then they'll stay. Abandon my body, heart, and soul. Hidden, really like shut down that freeze response, being paralyzed. So those are kind of like few like old possible behaviors. Maybe for you it's doom scrolling, maybe it's not showing up for work, maybe it's spending money to feel better, maybe it's overeating, maybe it's undereating, maybe it's drinking, maybe it's watching shows, just kind of disassociating from reality, from your body. And this week I really took a different approach to it. And I continue to feel the spikes, feel the triggers, know what was happening, name it, of like, oh, that's shame. Oh, that's abandonment speaking. What does she need? Oh, that's a younger version of myself. How can I reparent her? And being super intentional of my mornings, of my time throughout my day, like intentional rest. I still moved my body. I kept my boundaries around texting and social media use of times, places where I use them. I showed up for work, networking calls, meetings, podcast interviews, and of course, recording this episode. And so that is all how you lead yourself. When you're going through, really tough times, it's really about kind of triage of, okay, what are my immediate needs? Proper hydration, proper nutrition, moving my body, breath, bring my body back into itself. And then you can proceed from there. What happens with a lot of people and a lot of leaders is that they bypass all of that. They just, have a cup of coffee, a bagel or a donut, or maybe not even breakfast at all. And then that's why they're so dysregulated throughout the day in their meetings, how they show up with clients, how they show up with themselves. That's why they can't sleep, because they are bypassing the very basic principles that they need in order to have a very aligned OS. So the difference isn't that my pain is any smaller now. The difference is that my operating system has more leadership available, while the pain is still there. And so we're going to go through the 3 layers of a leader's operating system: mind, body, spirit. If you want to bend your reality, these are the 3 things you're always tuning into and refining and realigning. So A, mind. The stories and scripts that continually kind of keep looping. How your mind runs old code. It could be, I'm unlovable. Something is wrong with me. Everyone else gets to be free with money except me. If they pull away, I must fix it immediately. And how you can work with it now, and even how I'm working with it now, it's like you name the story out loud. Oh, that's shame speaking. Oh, that's abandonment. And then you separate fact versus the narrative, that script that's just looping in your head. And then you add a truth. What's happening is painful, and it doesn't get to define my worth. Their capacity, if another person is attempting to affect you, this is what you could say, their capacity is about their operating system, not my value. I can feel abandoned and still not abandon myself. And so that's a really key one. My mind is still offering the same crappy thoughts, and leadership for me is not pretending I don't have them. It's choosing which ones get to drive. And I think that's so important, of really giving those voices. It's not that we ignore those aspects of us. It's like, I'm the adult now, you're the 6-year-old, and we're going to do this together. I'm the adult, I'm driving the bus, and what do you need? Okay, well, we can't do that. This is another way I can give you care, attention, love. And a lot of this is, internal work. And so really offering those inner aspects of yourself, compassion, care, curiosity, and love, that will go a long way to a really healthy operating system, so you can lead from really a place of stability and centeredness. So B, body, the nervous system and habits. What does your body do under stress? For me, it's, again, that tight, heavy rock in my stomach. For you, it could be a tight chest, could be shallow breathing. That's pretty much for everyone. Like sometimes I even notice myself like, oh, my shoulders are scrunched up to my ears. Oh, I can relax. And it's really kind of taking a body scan, like, oh, relax my jaw. Where's my tongue? My ears. And like do a body scan, like, oh, put my shoulder blades down my back. Perhaps you don't want to eat. That's one of mine. I just don't have an appetite when I'm in, deep grief. Maybe it's an urge to scroll, obsess over why aren't they texting? What did I do wrong? If I just text them 10 times, maybe they will, explain to me what I did and then I can fix it. And how you reroute all of that energy is where you find the healing. That is where you get out of the rut in the road and come back onto smooth surface. Movement. You have to move your body in some capacity every single day, especially starting the day. Whether it's 5 minutes of the breathing movements that I teach, go to my YouTube to see those. It takes 5 minutes a morning. Move your body that way. Shake your body out. Weightlifting is, a great way for the nervous system to come back in alignment. Mat Pilates. A lot of these classes can be done in the comfort of your home. YouTube has a ton of free videos. So you really want to move your body. You taking walks, especially in nature. Really, you want the bilateral movement. And so if you can't do bilateral movement, such as walking for an intentional period of time, you kind of, tap left, right. If you're watching me on video, you see my arms are crossed and I'm just simply tapping my left hand to my right shoulder and vice versa. And I'm just tapping back and forth. And that can bring your body back into itself. Adequate quality sleep, quality hydration, quality food. And this is really helping the nervous system to feel safe to do like the deep inner work. Your body is your hardware. And if the hardware is fried, it corrupts the software, your operating system. And you can't run a $1 billion vision on 2 hours of sleep and breadcrumbs and poor boundaries. So even on your really hard days, have 2 or 3 non-negotiables. Move your body minimum of 1 time. Eat something real, whole, nutritious foods, and a regulating practice. Breath, which I just mentioned, journaling, handwriting. There's something really profound when you actually take a pen in your hand and you write. It brings on those neuro pathways, and it's very crucial for optimal brain health. Jigsaw puzzle, painting, crocheting, do something with your hands. I even just came across this today of hammering, getting a hammer and doing tactile things with your hands. C, spirit, the why and the witness. So this is the part that remembers. So my mission is, of course, my son. It's heal thy in 100,000 homes in a year. It is single mothers, and then global soil and soul restoration. So that's part of my mission. So whatever your mission, remember what is pulling you forward. What is wanting to come through you. And then my identity, your identity beyond the role. You're not just someone's client, friend, ex, line item. You are a sacred soul. And you're more than the label or the letters behind your name. And then you want to reconnect to spirit, source. It's meditation, it's prayer, it's really connecting with the divine. I connect with the divine a lot in my dreams. And I remember for myself, and again, like you might need to work on what you are called here to do on this earth. For me, it's like I'm building something that's bigger than this very moment. And you can adopt that one as well. And then anchoring back this into service. Who am I here to serve today? Who am I here to help today? With my words, wellness, wisdom, voice, strength, presence, and that is all part of your operating system. So spirit is the part of your operating system that says, yes, this hurts, and also you promise to build this cathedral. Let's lay today's brick. I'll say that again. Spirit is the part of my operating system that says, yes, this hurts, and also you promise to build this cathedral. Let's lay today's brick. So how do you begin to update your OS in real time? First, step one, name what your operating system is doing. Right now, if you're driving or walking, simply ask, what is my operating system actually doing today? Really tune into your body. What is going on in your mind, inside your body, your psyche? What am I believing about myself? What's happening in my body? Tight, numb, wired, exhausted, spent, frazzled? What am I tempted to do? Chase, avoid, overwork, people please, not honor my boundaries. Step two, stabilize your body before you optimize the business or your life. So a tiny nervous system action that you can take right now, a 10-minute walk, preferably if you can get into some kind of nature, that'd be great. If you're in a city, that works as well. 3 minutes of intentional breath, again, making the exhale longer than the inhale. That calms the nervous system and brings it back into the parasympathetic state. Proper meal, ideally organic nutrition, and getting, really being mindful of quality sleep. Sleep is so important. It's where you restore, rejuvenate, regenerate. And leaders who bend reality don't just push harder, they stabilize their system so reality has somewhere new to land. Leaders who bend reality don't just push harder, they stabilize their system so reality has somewhere new to land. Step 3, choose one of the following upgraded, up-level behaviors. You're not going to send, so here's some ideas. 1, don't send the spirally text. Put it in the notes. It might be sending the sales email anyway, even though it's not perfect. It could be raising your price on that offer. It's saying no to the thing that drains you. So those are all kind of business examples. Maybe if it's, with your kids, it's spending quality time with them. You don't need a whole new life philosophy in this moment. You need one behavior that belongs to your future self, not your past patterns. And then repeat this until this becomes your new default operating system. And if you're not in business and you want support in upgrading your behavior and your beliefs and upgrading your current operating system into something that's more aligned, then I have the Forward, which is my one-on-one coaching container. And I would love to guide you in that. And we can make radical transformation in a very short amount of time when you're willing to do the work and feel like a whole new person inside and out. And, I want to reflect to you that, this is not so we're not fixing things. This is not like, duct taping the, bumper on the front of our car. You can still feel the hits. You can still maybe, become jealous. You can still feel like a little girl or a little boy walking, wanting someone to stay, wanting someone to give you the attention, wanting someone to see you. And the difference is that you have a system now. and I know how to meet it. And then in closing, 5, your inner operating system is already running your business, your life, your parenting, your relationships, your friendships, and it's deciding whether you hit post or talk yourself out of it. It's whether you invest in support or keep white knuckling. It's whether you lead from your mission or from your wounds. And you don't have to wait until life is calm to upgrade it. In fact, most of our upgrades happen right here in the heartbreak, in the money pressure, financial stress, in the not knowing. We grow through the mud, like a little seed pushing through that dirt with rocks and all the mud around it. It pushes through that dirt anyway. So if you're listening to this and thinking, my operating system is running on old code, it's scarcity, it's overgiving, it's self-doubt, and you're ready to lead a completely different level, completely different life, then again, I would invite you to apply. Send me an email if you would like to join the one-on-one coaching container I have called Forward. I know people get weirded out by saying container. You could call it experience. And it's a really high level experience for you where we do deep dives on how did you get here? How do we disentangle everything? And where do you want to go? And that is the roadmap for your life. And we grow you. We grow your capacity, your identity, your nervous system, so that way your external results can finally match the version you've been holding. So if you want to explore that, send me an email or a message, and I would be delighted to see if it's a good fit, and we can go that way. So as we wrap up, pick one way you are going to lead your operating system differently today. And I would love to hear in the show notes, or not in the show notes, in the comments, how you are going to do that. What was your takeaway from today? As always, please leave a 5-star review. I would really appreciate that as your way of supporting. I don't have monetary sponsors for this. I am doing all of this as an act of service and, growing my business from the ashes. So I am in this with you. I am leading my nervous system right alongside yours. And I really look forward to partnering with you in expanding and up-leveling your operating system. Thank you so much for your time, and I will see you next week. Have a beautiful day.